Hello, hello, and welcome to the Core Dog Experience. We're here, talk Ohio State Buckeyes. So if you're feeling what you're hearing, please hit that like button. And if you enjoy Buckeye content in general, please subscribe. Help a brother grow this thing out. Slowly growing. So appreciate the likes and the recent subscriptions, but trying to keep it going. So let's just get into it. Ohio State, Minnesota. You know what? We know what week it is. We know what week's coming up. Ain't gonna make this one too long. Ohio State did what we were supposed to do against that type of opponent. 37-3. Wasn't even that close. If their kicker didn't have a booming leg, we would have shut them out. But dominant performance by our team in general. And just like I said, just some real quick stuff on that game because we know what we all want to talk about. But first things first, we got a Minnesota trap game, man, because Minnesota wasn't that type of quality opponent where it was a true trap game, unlike what our opponents next week had to face going into Maryland. We gonna touch on that just a little bit. But for Ohio State, they did what they needed to do against the type of opponent that they were facing. They're facing Minnesota. Didn't offer much. Didn't offer much coming in. Didn't offer much during the game. Things went pretty much expected as planned. But like I said, last week, Kyle McCord looked good. Crickets. But I told you all it took was one bad pass and they would be back out in full force. And let's face it, I'm a Kyle McCord fan, but hey, that was not a good first half for Kyle McCord. It just wasn't. He missed open receivers. And I call it like I said, he missed open receivers. We know why some folks play defense because they can't catch. He had at least a couple interceptions that Minnesota dropped. So he it was not his best. I was expecting more based on his performance last week in that first half. He did not look good and sharp in that first half against Minnesota like he did against Michigan State, and I'll be the first to admit it. And you know if I'm admitting it, you know the social warriors were out in full force against Kyle McCord. Just a couple things here. Again, McCord's terrible, this, that, and the other. Ain't gonna pick too much stuff up about Kyle McCord, cause if y'all been following me, you know they don't like Kyle McCord. But I am gonna share this one cause this was a fresh take against the fresh take with the Kyle McCord hate. He gonna cost Marvin Harrison the Heisman. That's a good one. That's a fresh take. I always thought it was gonna be an uphill battle for Marvin to win it anyway, because it just typically does not go to receivers. You're gonna have to put up crazy numbers, and Marvin here, he does not have crazy numbers. Now, when you compare it against Bo Nix, who threw 6 TDs the other day, I mean, when he threw 6 TDs, it's going to be hard for Marvin Harrison to win the Heisman, and some folks want to put that on McCord. You know, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, Kyle McCord, second half, like he's typically done all year long, has had a good, efficient second half, and when you look at the stats, when it's all said and done, he had decent stats. 20 for 30, over 200 yards, and 2 TDs. No turnovers. Through no fault of his own, he tried to give it away, but they didn't want it. But no turnovers, so he managed the game. He managed the game. We gonna circle back to managing the game, because that's basically what he did. He managed the game, and we put the game in the hands of TreVeyon Henderson. Like I said, the Henderson haters, they've been silent for ever since he came back. You know, those folks who wanted Chip, said Chip was better. I ain't heard from them in weeks. They know what Henderson brings to the table. So Henderson had another monster game. Their defense was again dominant. Only gave up 3 points. Minnesota did they get into the red zone? I don't think they got to the red zone. I think they were 3 for 12 or 3 for 4. Again, their third down efficiency was very bad. Our defense just put them on lockdown. I know they didn't get to the red zone. Did they even cross our 30? I know they crossed the midfield a couple times, but our defense was just dominant. Again, Minnesota, just offensively, they didn't have a lot to offer threat-wise to our defense, and our defense did what they did. A dominant performance, got some turnovers to boot this time. Another Hancock interception, almost took it in. Then we had the strip sack, fumble that we recovered, that JTT almost threw it in. And he like pitched me the ball, I'll take it in. But JT, he wasn't the ball himself. He wasn't pitching it. He wasn't pitching that ball. But our defense showed up again. Henderson and our defense. That's been the formula for the last couple games. And we're going and like I said, our team is getting better. And I think they have progressively have gotten better week after week after week. And I think they're hitting their stride going into the upcoming game. We hitting our stride. They looking good. They are looking good. And before I move on from the Minnesota game, the most interesting part about that game, to me, a couple of things that stuck out was the penalty. A lot of folks call it the penalty pose. After Hancock's interception. It wasn't so much the penalty, it was how the referee told us about the penalty. Because he went through every day player that was in that pose. I ain't never seen anything like that. I know they tried to explain it, but that was just the first for me. You know, like if you like someone say, here, if you had that on your bingo card, damn it, you won. A penalty pose. Sportsmanlike conduct, and named off 5 or 6 players that were doing the posing. That, to me, that was interesting. Maybe the most interesting thing of that game, except, and I was shaking my head, except for the end of that first half. Almost damn near got our quarterback's leg broke. I don't know what play calling they were doing at the end of that half. In the end of the first half, end of that first half, I do not know what they were doing. Once you got that initial first down, I didn't understand the play calls. You got the initial first down, okay, then you try to go in a hurry up. Once they scrubbed out the screen pass, you just take the ball and go home and get ready for the second half. Because why are you trying to throw it with 12 seconds, 10 seconds left to go in the half, and you got 80 yards to go? I just don't understand the play calling. Take a knee, going to the half, because that was a very awkward tackle that your boy put on McCord. Legal, good tackle. It was just one of those awkward falls there. His leg got crunched up under him, and you seen him limp off. So I did not understand the play call at all. The fans, even the McCord haters, didn't understand the play calling at all. No, no, Ryan Day calling it, Brian Hartline, but that was just some bad play calling, bad management to end that first half. But that was the most interesting because McCord obviously was fine for the rest of the game. Came out, didn't look no worse for wear for the third quarter. And again, looked more efficient in that third quarter in the second half, like he's been prone to do throughout the season. But yeah, the end of that first half left me scratching my head somewhat. I did not understand the play calling or what they were trying to accomplish. Once we got blown up on that screen pass, just take the ball and sit on it and come out strong for the second half. But end of the day, another dominating win for Ohio State. They looked good again. Defense looked good the whole game. For once, the special teams looked good. No complaints about the special teams for the most part. Just some iffy stuff there with the play calling at the end of the first half, and Kyle McCord, we had bad first. It wasn't one of his better first half. Like I said, he missed some open receivers, threw in the double coverage. And McCord, I stick up for you, but when you mess up, I'm gonna tell you mess up. But he redeemed himself second half, good second half for Kyle McCord, like I said, like he's done all year. So Ohio State did their part for the game next week. Ohio State did their part. They posted a dominating win at home against a team they should have dominated. Michigan. Oh, Michigan. They look beatable. The last 2 weeks, let's face it. Man, I honestly, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, I still would have said, because I'm a homer. I'm unapologetically biased and thought Ohio State was going to win the game, even 4 weeks ago. Even though Michigan was looking somewhat better, but I take into level of competition, and Ohio State was I still think they were still getting better. They ain't where they were going to be this time of the year. Now, based off these last 2 weeks, Michigan looked very beatable. If Penn State had any type of quarterback play, they very well could have been in that game and possibly won that game because they were in it the whole game. Michigan, they just ran the ball. That second half, in Penn State they eventually wore Penn State down because their offense couldn't maintain a drive. Because you want to talk about bad quarterback play, their quarterback can't throw an out pass. He did it in the game against Rutgers. He missed wide open receivers. So that's what you call bad quarterback play. That Penn State quarterback. Against Maryland, they look beatable. Let's face it. Maryland outplayed Michigan in the second half. If their quarterback don't throw interceptions, which he's want to do, he's good, but he throws interceptions. And he did it again. Bad interceptions. I don't know what he was looking at on some of those interceptions, but he threw bad interceptions. He don't throw those interceptions. Maryland had Michigan on their heels, y'all. They had them on their heels. Michigan couldn't do nothing. I don't know what it is. Talking about not letting your quarterback do anything. They ain't letting JJ throw the ball. They didn't throw it against Penn State. They just tried to run it against Maryland. So what's going on with JJ that he ain't throwing the ball? They ain't gonna be able. I doubt if they gonna be able to do that against Ohio State. Just run 30-something straight times against us. Last year, yeah. This year, not so much. I just don't see them doing that, sitting on the ball and just running. If that was their game plan to go super vanilla, so be it, because they have not let J.J. McCarthy throw the ball at all. And now if we're going to come out slinging and winging against Ohio State, if that's the game plan, kudos to them, because they were able to get away with it these last 2 weeks of just taking the ball out of J.J. McCarthy's hands. But Maryland outplayed them the second half. They outscored them the second half, and they got hosed the second half. Yeah, I said it. That was a terrible intentional grounding call. I've seen more egregious intentional groundings that wasn't called than the one that Maryland got called for. The receiver, some of these intentional groundings, they pan to where the ball lands. Ain't no receiver in the picture. Ain't no receivers. Yeah, that's intentional ground. Sometimes they still don't even throw it. They don't throw the flag for intentional grounding. There was a receiver in there. He may not have been 10 yards, but damn it, he wasn't no more than 11 or 12. He was in the general vicinity, and given that point in the game, you just don't make that call. You give the quarterback the benefit of the doubt. That changed the whole complexion of the game, of what the little minutes that were remaining. Most likely they weren't going to go down and score anyway, because, like I said, Taulia, he's prone to interception. He probably would have threw an interception anyway, because that's what he does. He throws, for every good throw he throw an interception. But that was just a terrible, terrible call, in particular for that juncture in the game. We know it. Our fans know it. That was a terrible call. The refs hold Maryland because Maryland was out playing Michigan. They were out playing Michigan that second half. Michigan's used to wearing folks down in the second half. They didn't do it to Maryland. The Maryland is a dangerous team. They didn't do it to Maryland. That was your trap game on the road at Maryland, and Maryland came and Maryland was ready to no. They was at home. That makes it even worse. They was at home. Excuse me. They had at home, and Maryland took it to them in that second half. And Michigan ain't used to that because they haven't played no teams. That time your schedule's so light. When you start getting it taken to you, you don't know how to react. Wasn't for that the quarterback bailing out 2 bad interceptions. Wasn't for the referee bailing out for that bad intentional grounding call that shouldn't have been called. Who knows how that game would have turned out. Michigan probably still wins. But that didn't help. That didn't do Maryland any favors. So, but end of the day, both teams are gonna go into the game undefeated. That's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good game. Gonna be a good game. That ain't gonna have Jim Harbaugh on the sideline. He accepted this punishment. All that whining and crying and stuff they did, as more information started rolling in, I'm too lazy to read everything. But the more stuff that came rolling in, he said, you know what? We good. We're going to take this little bit of punishment from the Big Ten. And it's just the Big Ten. The NCAA hasn't come down yet. I'm more interested to see what they're going to do than what the Big Ten, because basically Big Ten just gave him a slap on the wrist. Quit. That's all the Big Ten did, just slap on the wrist. And Harbaugh, after doing all that fussing, crying, whining, we going to lead the Big Ten, yada, yada, yada. At the end of the day, you know what? We're just going to shut up and accept the punishment because more information started rolling in. Not only did they say they're going to take the punishment, they done fired how many more people now? They done fired their linebacker coach. Well, I guess he was caught deleting stuff. If you ain't done nothing, what you deleting stuff for? I ain't saying. I'm just saying. All this stuff about they the victims, this, that, the other, but y'all firing people, y'all deleting stuff off computers and hard drives, but y'all ain't done nothing. He ain't know what's gonna be going on this whole time, but yeah, he firing people left and right. But they accepted their thing. That's from the Big Ten. It's going to be a good game. Still going to be a good game. To make the game a whole lot more interesting. A lot of emotion going to be in that game. But like I said, Harbaugh ain't going to be in it because they was cheating. And they know they were cheating. That's why he said, nah, we ain't going to challenge nothing. And then it was interesting about the whole cheating thing about when it started. Everyone's praising Harbaugh, and what he's done the last couple years. But my man here, like social media, good for they do some good stuff. Like man here, even though it wasn't a secret, Harbaugh couldn't beat us. Couldn't beat Urban Meyer. You see the stuff there. Lost for Fred. Lost, suspense, lost. He couldn't beat us. And his first crack at Ryan Day whipped his butt. 56-27. Wasn't even close. He whipped him. What they do the next year, COVID year, everyone else is playing, but all of a sudden, when it's time for Ohio State, Michigan, they can't play. They pretty much forfeited the game. They said, nah, we ain't going out there. We ain't playing. Y'all take the win. Y'all take the W. We forfeit. Because that's basically what they did. And sure enough, ain't that about when the alleged cheating scandal started taking place? Probably took place that weekend. They getting their ducks in the road to start their cheating stuff. Getting their schemes and putting their elaborations together on how they going about cheating and how they going to go about so he don't get whipped again. Y'all, that's very that week. I'll say I haven't beat them since. Those wins are tainted. They tainted. I don't care what happens now. Those wins are forever tainted. Because y'all was cheating. Y'all know y'all was cheating. And you started cheating because Ryan Day whipped your butt the first time out you tried to go against Ryan Day. Couldn't beat Urban. And Ryan Day was beating you worse than what Urban was beating you. Because Ryan Day put a butt whipping on you the first time y'all hooked up. You said, nah, I can't, nah. We got to do something. And the cheating scandal is born. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Well, yeah, they won the last 2 years. Those are tainted. I don't care what results come out. From all indications, they got a whole bunch of information about the cheating stuff. Like I said, homeboy was deleting stuff. So those wins are tainted. And if things go the way they should go, they ought to be vacating those wins. We had to vacate stuff, but I ain't going to go over all my reasoning. Look at my last video. I say why they wins should be vacated. We had to vacate stuff. You know what? They need to vacate some stuff too. Period. Now, the only thing about all of this, though, Ryan Day, he's pretty much in a no-win situation regardless of the outcome of the game. Yeah, we need to win it. We need to win it. But still, it's going to be a no-win situation because we win the game. What they going to say? Well, Harbaugh wasn't on the sideline. They had to fire linebacker coach. They had to fire all these people. And you know that's the first thing they're going to say. They had to fire all these people. And if they lose, they're already saying it. They lose, you couldn't beat Harbaugh without Michigan. I mean, you couldn't beat Michigan without Harbaugh on the sideline. And you still couldn't beat them. So the cheating scandal, that wasn't meaning because you couldn't beat them anyway. So Ryan Day and Ohio State, they pretty much in a no-win situation. Even if they win the game, they're going to get criticized. If they lose the game, they're going to get brutally criticized. Criticism's coming either way you look at it. We're going to get criticized. But as long as we had to win, I can take that type of criticism. But like, you know what we're going to say? We're going to validate it. See, he couldn't beat us without cheating. That argument go both ways, but you know it's coming. Either way, whatever side of the fence you stand on, that argument is coming. We win, we're going to say, see, y'all had to cheat to win. They win, we didn't need to cheat to beat y'all anyway. It's coming. So it's just one of those games. It's going to be an emotional game, extra emotion than normal. No Harbaugh on the sideline. Coach is fired. Senior day for Michigan. Matchup between 2 and 3. It's going to be a game. And my man here saying, and I have to agree with him, it's probably going to be one of the most watched regular season games, period. We already got the highest fan base and highest viewership. Can you imagine the number of eyes that are going to be on this game this year under these circumstances and what's at stake? Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some records get broken in terms of viewership. This is going to be one for the ages. Ohio State, Michigan, number 2 and 3. And now it's a complete 2 and 3 because they finally, I know AP poll don't mean nothing, but they had us behind Michigan all year long. They finally put us above Michigan. And rightfully so, because Michigan hasn't looked all that good the last 2 weeks. I'm just saying. So now we number 2 in AP poll, AP poll, and we number 2 AP poll, right? Yeah, AP poll, and we number 2 in the playoff poll. Of course, that's the one that matters. Of course, we win out, we in regardless. We lose, slim chance we still might be able to eke our way in, depending on what plays out in the other conferences, because this is one of those crazy years. You got about 6-7 teams that have a legitimate argument they should be in the playoffs. I mean, if we do have the one loss, we have the best one loss out of all those teams. I'm just saying, it worked for us last year. It might work for us again, because if we lose, then the only loss on our resume is the number 2 one. Who knows? They may elevate Michigan to number 1. Who knows? Be a top 2 team, and no other teams can say that in the CFP. Worked for us last year, might work again this year. I'm just saying. If Michigan loses, They out because they don't have who's their signature win against outside the conference. They didn't play Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame. That Notre Dame win may save us again if we lose. I'm just saying, we still have an outside chance of getting in, but hopefully it don't come to that. Hopefully it don't come to that, because we'll win the game. And just an early, and I ain't going to get into the X's and O's of the game. I think it's quite simple. Stop them from running. Whoever runs the ball the best, I think is going to win the game. You ain't got to do a bunch of X's and O's. It's going to be an emotional game. Got to be a clean game. No penalties. You can't let them run up and down the field. It's still to this day, Ohio State's the only team not to give up a play of 40-plus yards outside of the damn fumble-rooski. And we don't count fumble-rooskis. Passing or running, Ohio State's still the only defense that hasn't given up a play of 40-plus yards. And that's what Michigan got us on the last few years, is these big chunk plays. And if they don't get those big chunk plays, I think Ohio State can win, which brings me back to some of the earlier points I was making about Kyle McCord. And I'm pretty much in agreement with this post here. McCord, he ain't got to go out and win the game. With the emergence of Henderson now, our offensive line gelling, rely on Henderson and your defense and manage the game. Get the ball when you can on occasions to Harrison, Emeka, Fleming. Let me speak about, shout out to Fleming real quick. Because people saying, why Fleming playing? You've seen why Julian Fleming's playing. He's probably the best best blocking receiver we got on the team. He helped spring Trevion on this 70-yard jaunt. That's why he's playing over Carnell Tate. So there I got my Henderson, even though he be dropping some passes. He shouldn't be dropping. But that's why he in the game a lot. Henderson, he provides that blocking down the field, that spring those big runs. Now back to my take. McCord, manage the game. Do not throw interceptions. If McCord goes interception free, I do think we're going to win the game. I got us winning by 10 points. I'm just throwing it out there. Homer, I know I'm a Homer biased. But damn it, I think we are the better team as we round into this time of year. I think we've gotten better in Michigan. I think they've gotten stagnant. They become too one-dimensional, unless that's by design, where they have taken the ball out of J.J. McCarthy's hands for whatever reason. I think Ohio State is more diverse right now. And if McCord just manages the game, he ain't got to be Superman. Manage the game. Rely on Henderson, the running game, and the defense. Boom. 27-17. I got us by 10 points, y'all. Y'all heard it here first. 10-point win for Ohio State. 27-17. That's what I'm going with, and I'm sticking to it. It's gonna be a tough game. I wouldn't even be surprised if the offenses both offenses do explode. It happened before when we had the big matchup, number 1, number 2 back in the day. Troy Smith, that was 41-39. The offenses they were going up and down the field, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again. If it does, I still think we're going to win. I think we're more equipped to win in the shootout, even with some of McCord's inaccuracy issues. If it's close in the second half, we win it because Kyle McCord is better in the second half. Anyway, but it's not rocket science on how this game needs to go for Ohio State to win. And got smart play calling, limit the penalties. Defensive backs, turn your heads around to look for the ball, because that's been the main issue for our DBs for a while now. They never look for the ball. Do not give up chunk plays. That's just the big thing. Do not give up chunk plays. And McCord, do not turn the ball over. We do those things, 10-point win, Ohio State. And Michigan favored, y'all. They favored, and rightfully so. They're at home. Senior day, emotional day, all that's going on. They're using that as a rallying cry, even though it's all by their own doing. How they playing? How they been playing the victim out of something they created? I don't know, but they managed to make themselves the victims out of all of this. But it's gonna be a good game, good game. But you heard it here first. Ohio State by 10. I'm sticking to it. Sticking to it. Be remiss. That's my take on the game. No big secret what we got to do to win it. McCord managed the game. Defense, Henderson, boom, ball game. But it's fall, y'all. You know I watch other sports. You know I'm high on our women's basketball team. So a quick shout out to my girl JC Sheldon, 15,000 career points for her. And I'm looking forward to a nice Ohio State women's basketball season. And our men, you know, jury's still out. Not a new pieces coming in, but definitely hats off to the women's team and JC Sheldon for the career season had. I'm glad she came back. I think our women's team got a chance to go a far way. Another quick shout out to our women's hockey team. Knocked off the number 1 ranked and defending national champion Wisconsin. I believe they swept them. I ain't know. I ain't a hockey person, but I do watch some Ohio State. I watch some highlights of the Ohio State women's hockey team because they good. That was the stuff I said all day. It was good. So shouts out to them and the women's hockey team and our women's basketball team. But I watched some other stuff. I told y'all. I tried to told y'all I watched some other stuff. But Ohio State, Michigan, it's Michigan week. So you're going to be seeing all types of stuff everywhere. Both sides of the aisle. Both sides. Ohio State making their cracks at Michigan and vice versa. Got my take on it. Ohio State by 10. McCord's going to manage the game to a win. But, hey, you know the saying. What's the best thing about being 11-0? A chance to go 12-0, and this week a chance to go 12-0 and knock off Michigan in the process. And I think we're going to do it. So with that said, if you're feeling what you're hearing, hit that like button. You enjoy Buckeye content in general, please subscribe. Trying to grow this thing out. See my next goal. I said baby steps, trying to grow it out. So please help a brother out. But until next time, OHIO, go Bucks. I'm out.